Hey there, in today's video, I'm going to review this, the Nike Vaporfly 4. I'm making this video because I set my personal best in the Nike Vaporfly 3 and qualified for Boston in them. I have the Alphafly 1, 2, and 3. I have the Streakfly. I was excited when the Vaporfly 4 was announced and you could purchase through the app. I got in line, set my timer, bought them immediately. They went on sale. As always, this video might be long. The chapter mark is down below, so you can skip on through to the bits you might be interested in. Let's get going. To test the Vaporfly 4s, I ran 50 kilometers, 30 miles, over 3 sessions on road and path, uphill, downhill, and on the level at various speeds. Let's put the shoes on the turntable and look at their specifications. Nike say that the Vaporfly 4 weighs 190 grams, 6.7 ounces. In a men's size UK 9, US men's 10, it weighs 152 grams, 5.36 ounces. In a women's UK size 5.5, US women's size 8. This shoe is a US men's 13, EU 47.5, UK 12, CM 31, BR 46. In this size, it weighs in the left shoe 209 grams, 7.37 ounces, and in the right shoe 209 grams, 7.37 ounces. It has a 35mm stack height. It has a 6mm drop. Nike say this about the Vaporfly 4. The Vaporfly 4 is a mile-eating machine that just got lighter. We trimmed weight all over from the previous iteration without sacrificing performance. And the carbon fiber fly plate and ultra-responsive ZoomX foam midsole combine to give you race day speed. The result is a more fine-tuned racing shoe that's trusted from the mile to the marathon. Let's review the shoe and see what Nike says is true. I really disliked the upper of the Vaporfly 3. It was my least favorite upper on any shoe. To be fair, it worked. No problems with the performance, but putting it on, I just never really enjoyed. Couldn't get the tongue lined up half the time. I prefer this, but not by much. The top all feels like scratchy plastic. There are holes around the tongue for lightness, but there's a thin tongue. The laces are thinner than the Vaporfly 3. It's the whole theme of the shoe, really. And if we put a light on the shoe, you'll see the minimalist, how little structure there is in the shoe. So with the light shining through, now particularly at the rear, you'll see those sort of little triangles down below. Nike have saved weight wherever they can. The midsole of the Vaporfly 4 and 3 is very similar, certainly in terms of overall construction. There's a much longer slot in this one. You can see it goes way further back than, say, the previous version. The slot sort of ends here. And it does catch stones. That's one of the things I noticed. I was out running the other day and I came back with a fairly reasonable sized stone stuck in the shoe. The Vaporfly 3, one of the things I really liked about it was down the bottom, it lists the component weights, which I found very useful. That doesn't happen in this particular shoe. The outsole it's very minimal. I mean, you can see tiny patches here, apart from the ZoomX foam, and then the front piece, which in a lot of Nike shoes is cut out to save weight and go to the ZoomX, but not in these ones. The outsole on the Vaporfly 4 is very minimal. Little pieces of protection at the back on the ZoomX and a piece on the front. Interestingly, a lot of Nike shoes, there's holes through this to the ZoomX, but not in these particular ones. And if you look at the underside of the Alphafly 3s and the Vaporfly 4s, you can see how similar they are in overall design, albeit the Alphafly 3 is way, way wider. Nike say that the Vaporfly 4 is 10% lighter than the Vaporfly 3. Measuring mine, they're 13.6% lighter, which is fairly staggering. It's less than the original Streakfly, but not quite as light as my Atreyu base model, the Battle Lies Within model. But in fairness, all are eclipsed by the weight of this, the Streakfly 2, for future review. The biggest difference between the Vaporfly 4 and the Vaporfly 3 is in the stack and drop. The Vaporfly 4 has a 35mm stack and a 6mm drop, and the Vaporfly 3 has a 40mm stack and an 8mm drop. And that's where a significant saving comes, because there'll be less foam. There's also less foam because the slot is longer, but these are wider by 5mm at the end. But all of the savings in the lack of structure in here, the thinner laces, all of those add up together with reduced foam. The guiding principle in the design of the shoe is to add lightness by reducing the foam, the thinner laces, the heel structure, all of those things. When you look around the shoe, nearly every area in this shoe, it looks like Nike have tried to save some weight. In terms of its aesthetics, it's more fluid than the Vaporfly 3, which was kind of angular and blocky. And the rear profile is much more like the Alphafly 3, the Streakfly 2, the Zoomfly 6, forming more of a pattern of an overall set of Nike shoes. There was only one color available at launch, the prototype color, sail, total orange, white and black. So I bought that. I was quite happy because it fits in with the other prototype ones I have. There were 2 colors to follow a week later, and maybe another one depending on your territory. And there will be lots in the future. These ones are bright crimson, mint foam, cave purple and lima blast, ghost, Persian violet, football grey and blue void. And these ones on the US site, white, obsidian mist, pure platinum and gridiron. Nike don't make any great claims of sustainability in relation to the Vaporfly 4. It's lighter than the Vaporfly 3, so that's a saving, but it may be less durable. It's probably a zero-sum game, and it came in a huge box. More of that in the next video. Putting the Vaporfly 4 on is easy. It opens wide, but it feels very plasticky. Everything feels plasticky. The laces pull through in a snaggy sort of way. Nowhere near as good as the original Streakfly, which is my favorite shoe to put on, but it's better than the Vaporfly 3, but not by much. It's tricky to get it right. First couple of runs I had a lot of heel slippage, a lot of finessing of exactly where to go, and I don't use the heel lock. I could have done that, but a bit of adjustment, a few goes, and yeah, they fit pretty nice, but yeah, very plasticky feeling. Running in the Vaporfly 4 feels very similar to the Vaporfly 3. You notice the stack difference and you certainly notice the weight, but the overall feel is pretty similar. If you put one shoe on one foot and the other on the other foot, you feel how similar the foam and overall effect feels. I ran 28k in them yesterday, 17 miles, to see what I feel beaten up in them with the lighter weight, what would that, but I felt fine in them. I would have no problem running a marathon in the Vaporfly 4. The grip and traction would be similar to a typical marathon shoe. Minimal, not great in the rain and not great on the tight turns. So these have a lower stack height than the Vaporfly 3, so maybe slightly better in that particular scenario. Costs are complicated in relation to the Vaporfly 4. They cost €259.99, $260 US, £239.99 sterling, and $360, all as of the time of making this video. They went up from the Vaporfly 3s in the US by $10 and in the UK by £5. Now, the tariffs are going to change all of the kind of costs, and costs are not going to go down. The buying experience was very unusual. The Streakfly 2 and Vaporfly 4 went on sale on the same day. For some reason, the Streakfly 2 in its proto version was €10 cheaper than it was going to be the week later when the regular colors got launched. I tried to buy the 2 at the same time through the Nike app. They give you can get a notification. It'll tell you when they're going to go on sale. And as has happened before, they were both in my basket and then one disappeared. Either way, the Vaporfly 4 came through, and luckily for me, I got a 25% discount off because it was my birthday. I checked, and the shoes are made in China. The Streakfly 2 is made in Vietnam, and that difference between the country it's made in could affect the pricing of these 2 shoes well into the future. The Vaporfly 4 is a racing shoe, but at what distance is it optimal? Nike say that the Streakfly 2 is from 1 mile to 10k, and they say that the Alphafly 3 is fine-tuned for marathon speed, and the Vaporfly 4 is from mile to marathon. And that covers all the different ranges. The question for me is, would you get the Streakfly 2 and the Alphafly 3 covering both ends? Or do you need a sweet spot Vaporfly 4 in the middle? Or can you just abandon any of the Streakfly 2, Alphafly 3 arguments and just use the Vaporfly 4? And they're all the kinds of questions I'm going to try and find out by more rigorous testing in the coming weeks. Should you buy the Nike Vaporfly 4? Well, it should definitely be on your shortlist if you're looking for a performance shoe. It is one of the fastest marathon shoes. How fast? Well, I'm going to do a lot of performance tests in the coming weeks. The added lightness should mean added speed, all things being equal. But of course, all things aren't equal. Now to test this light beauty. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful. If you did, it would be great if you hit the like button. As always, there'll be lots of stuff in the description below, and I'll happily answer any questions you put in the comments. There'll be a big blue subscribe button popping up there, and some videos there. Thanks for watching. Until the next video, just keep running along.